we're doing here is lasagna, the way Mama does.
Okay.
Actually, the way we call this one is pasta china, because we're adding some aubergine, some eggs, and some polpettine of meat. And it's one of the dishes that takes a bit probably longer than normal lasagna to cook, because there's a lot of ingredients going on. It's a great dish, so we'll see if I can win that.
OK, well, I'm just using chuck beef and some pancetta. So what I've done is I've got some pancetta and some onion, like a little sofrito, and I've sort of cooked that down so it's really got loads and loads of flavours.
For the ragu base, he's fried cubed smoked pancetta with onion, celery, carrot and rosemary, and is ready to add the meat.
So I'm going to season the beef. So this is...
Nice chunk of beef.
Nice, and the nice thing is I find is when you cook for a long time, it kind of goes, it breaks up naturally rather than having it all minced up. This is basically chuck steak that's been chopped up. It's got to break up, obviously, because you've got to layer it. But so you get that in nice and hot pan. All that fat, there's lots of fat from the pancetta, and that's going to really sort of like season the meat.
Theo then adds white wine, tinned tomatoes and milk to the pan and leaves to gently simmer.
And then just sort of cook that all for a good hour.
Onto his bechamel sauce. He starts by making a roux.
So that's pretty much equal parts flour to butter. So I've just put some hot milk in there. Pouring that milk in, you just give it a good old whisk and it'll sort of emulsify together.
Theo adds a bay leaf, grates in some nutmeg and gives it a stir, then covers the sauce with a circle of greaseproof paper.
I kind of prefer to put something like this on because what happens is it cooks, but it doesn't evaporate.
He leaves it to cook for 30 minutes and makes a start on his pasta dough. He adds 00 flour and semolina flour to a food processor.
Egg yolks, and I'm going to put 1 egg in. And I find that if you have too much egg white, it becomes very flabby, the pasta.
Yeah.
And if you have more yolk, it's a much richer and much... You get much better consistency.
He pulses to form a dough, which he then kneads, before wrapping in cling film and leaving in the fridge to rest. Time for Francesco to start on his classic lasagna. First, he dices an aubergine.
So what I'm doing is basically coating this flour over here. As you probably know, when you put the flour around, it tends not to absorb
the oil.
so much of the oil.
Yeah.
Francesco sieves to remove the excess flour before frying in olive oil until golden brown. He then makes a start on the meatball layer of his dish.
So we got the veal, we got the beef, and we got the pork, OK?
Lasagna pasta china traditionally uses 3 types of meat for a more rounded flavour.
Because I'm doing this South Italian style, I'm going to take like a quarter of every single meat here, and I'm going to season a bit, and we're going to do some small dumpling, which we call polpettine, in Italian, OK? So a little bit of salt here, OK? And a little bit of pepper, all right? So I'm just going to mix like this by hand, just, roughly. Just make sure that the meats, they go very well together. Drop of olive oil so they don't stick in the pan, if you want. And we do just very, very little, small polpettine, okay? You don't need to be precise anyway.
No, it's just going to be a little...
little, the shack of this,
Nice.
Once all the meatballs are made, Francesco uses the remaining beef, pork and veal mince to make his ragu sauce. He starts by browning the meat in olive oil in batches and drains off any excess fat.
You're going to finish off all this meat, and then you're going to do a beautiful ragu over there.
In a separate pan, Francesco has fried pancetta, onion and celery. Once all the minced meat is browned, he adds it to the pancetta and vegetables, along with a good slug of red wine.
Look, I want my wine to evaporate completely, OK? The reason why I use red wine is because I want this nice and browny red color, OK? The bay leaf inside here. You can see the wine is completely evaporated. Now we're going to add this beautiful tomato. We're going to mix. Now we're going to cover with the lid here on top, and this one it will cook for very low heat for a couple of hours.
Wow.
Francesco thinks his traditional family recipe using meatballs and ragu is an absolute winner, whereas Theo thinks his chuck beef and smoked pancetta sauce will give his lasagna the edge. Which dish will be perfect?